Hello, my dear lore seekers. Welcome back to another evening of shared stories. Tonight, we begin where all Wandlore must begin, with the first and most immutable law of my craft. It is a phrase you have all heard, uttered so often that it risks becoming a mere platitude. But I assure you, it is the bedrock upon which all that follows is built. The wand chooses the wizard. This is not a charming metaphor, Mr. Potter. It is a fundamental, literal truth of our world. A wand is not chosen from a shelf as one might choose a new cauldron or a set of robes. It is not a matter of aesthetic preference or convenience. The matching of a wand to a wizard is a profound and magical event, a moment of recognition between two compatible forces. Before we begin, if you find value in our stories, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Your support is what allows us to continue these journeys together. We appreciate it more than you know. And now, let's begin. When a witch or wizard first touches the wand that is destined for them, there is a sensation that cannot be mistaken. For some, it is a sudden warmth that spreads through the fingers, a feeling of coming home. For others, a shower of sparks, red and gold, might erupt from the tip, a vibrant and joyful greeting. This is the wand acknowledging its partner. It is the culmination of a search. In my long years, I have witnessed countless such pairings. I have also seen the opposite. I have placed a wand in a hand and seen it lie there, inert and lifeless, a dead piece of wood. I have seen another wand leap from a customer's grasp, as if scalded, shattering a nearby vase of dried flowers. These are not failures, they are communications. The wands are speaking, they are saying simply, no. But what is the nature of this connection? How does a seemingly inanimate object possess such discernment? You must understand that wands are what we call quasi-sentient. They are imbued with such a potent concentration of magic, drawn from the living wood of a magical tree, and the very essence of a powerful magical creature, that they exist on the threshold of life itself. They have, for want of a better word, personalities. They have preferences, temperaments, and something akin to a moral compass, all derived from their constituent parts. An initial attraction is felt, a spark of recognition, which then begins a mutual quest for experience. The wand learns from the wizard, and the wizard learns from the wand. It is a symbiotic relationship, a partnership that deepens and grows over a lifetime. Perhaps the most illustrative case of this principle in recent memory was that of young Harry Potter when he first entered my shop. He was, I recall, a particularly tricky customer. Wand after wand I gave him, and wand after wand rejected him. A maple and phoenix feather wand, 7 inches, quite whippy. Nothing. An ebony and unicorn hair, 8.5 inches, springy, snatched from him almost at once. The pile of discarded wands on my counter grew higher and higher. It was not, as a casual observer might think, a sign of some magical deficiency in the boy. Quite the opposite. It was a sign of a very specific, very powerful, and very singular destiny. The wands could sense it. They knew in their own way that they were not the wand for the task that lay ahead of him, they knew that somewhere in the shop a brother was waiting. To explain this phenomenon, one might move beyond the poetry of the art and into something that resembles Muggle science. Imagine, if you will, that every wizard possesses a unique, magical signature, a frequency of energy that is the sum of their character, their power, their heritage, and their fate. Now, imagine that every wand, being a composite of its wood, its core, and its own history, also possesses a unique frequency. The process of matching is the search for resonance. A wand that is inert in your hand has a frequency so dissonant from your own that no connection can be made. A wand that reacts violently, that explodes with uncontrolled energy, has a frequency that is perhaps complementary, but so potent that it creates a destructive interference, a power you cannot yet control. But the correct wand, the correct wand sings in harmony with your own magical frequency. The energy flows through it not as a torrent, but as a river in its proper channel. This is the warmth, the belonging, and it is this principle of shared, unique frequency that explains the rare and dangerous phenomenon of priori incantatem. When two wands that share cores from the same creature brother wands are forced to do battle, they will not. Their identical frequencies create a powerful, unstable feedback loop. They lock together, and one will force the other to regurgitate the spells it has performed in reverse order. A curious and very rare effect, and one that demonstrates the deep, physical truth behind the connection of a wizard and their wand. The Ollivander legacy, a pursuit of perfection. My family has been in this business for a very long time. The sign above my door is not a boast. It is a simple statement of fact. Ollivanders, makers of fine wands since 382 BC. We are an old family, one of the sacred 28. Though I confess I have little time for such notions of blood purity. My own mother was a fine Muggle-born witch, and she was as magical as any pure blood I have ever known. Our name itself, Ollivander, is believed to mean he who owns the olive wand, which suggests that my earliest ancestors came to Britain from a Mediterranean country, likely with the Romans. They set up a stall to sell their wares to the ancient British wizards, whose own wands were often crude, unreliable things, little more than clubs of mundane wood with a tuft of Kneazle fur stuffed in the end. From the very beginning, the Ollivander name has been synonymous with quality. However, the art of wand making as you know it today is, if I may be so bold, largely my own invention. For centuries, the craft was a far more sentimental affair. Before I took proprietorship of the family business, it was common practice for a customer to provide their own wand core. They would arrive at the shop with a magical substance to which they felt a personal attachment. Perhaps it was the whisker of a beloved family Kneazle, the mane of a kelpie encountered on a holiday, or the stalk of a dittany plant that had once saved a grandfather from poisoning. My own father, a fine wand maker in his own right, spent many a frustrating hour wrestling with such substandard materials. The results were wands of inconsistent power and unpredictable temperament. They were keepsakes, certainly, but they were not the finely tuned instruments that true magic requires. From my earliest days, I was a purist. I showed a precocious talent for the family business, but I was not content with tradition. I harbored a single-minded, even fanatical ambition to discover the ideal wand. I believed that the finest wands could not be made from sentiment. They required cores of immensely powerful magical substances, expertly enclosed in specially selected and complementary wand woods. The resulting creation would then be matched not to the wizard who commissioned it, but to the wizard with whom the wand itself felt the most profound affinity. This was a revolutionary philosophy, and it was met with considerable resistance at first. Many established families preferred the old ways, the wands that contained a piece of their own history. But the results spoke for themselves. Ollivander wands were infinitely superior to anything that had come before. My methods of locating wand-quality woods, of sourcing and preparing core substances, of marrying them together in perfect harmony. These are jealously guarded secrets coveted by my rivals. After much experimentation and research, I concluded that only 3 substances produce wands of the quality to which I am happy to give the illustrious name of Ollivander. I call them the Supreme Cores: unicorn hair, dragon heartstring, and phoenix feather. I did not merely improve the craft of wand making, I redefined it. I transformed it from a folksy tradition into a rigorous discipline, prioritizing objective magical quality and perfect resonance over the unpredictable whims of personal attachment. And that is why, to this day, wizards from all over the world travel to my little shop in Diagon Alley. They come for perfection. The heart of the wand, an examination of the supreme cores. Every Ollivander wand has at its heart one of the 3 supreme cores. Each is a costly and rare material, and each possesses its own distinct properties, its own unique character. It is the core that gives the wand its fundamental power, and a wise wizard would do well to understand the nature of the substance that helps to channel their magic. But remember, each wand is a composite of its wood, its core, and the experience and nature of its owner. The tendencies of one may counterbalance or outweigh the others. This can only be a general overview of an immensely complex subject. Unicorn hair, the faithful heart. First, let us consider the unicorn. The hair from its tail generally produces the most consistent magic. It is the least subject to fluctuations and blockages, providing a steady and reliable stream of power for its wielder. Of the 3 cores, wands with unicorn hair are the most difficult to turn to the dark arts. The purity of the creature from which the hair is taken lends the wand a certain incorruptibility. They are, without question, the most faithful of all wands. They usually remain strongly attached to their first owner, irrespective of whether he or she was an accomplished witch or wizard. This loyalty is profound. A unicorn hair wand given to another or taken by force will often grieve for its lost partner. This faithfulness, however, comes with certain disadvantages. Unicorn hair does not, as a rule, make the most powerful of wands, although a potent wand wood may compensate for this to some degree. They are also prone to a unique form of melancholy if they are seriously mishandled. A wizard who repeatedly uses such a wand for dark purposes, or who treats it with cruelty and disrespect, may find that the hair within will simply die, rendering the wand powerless and in need of repair. It is a core that demands respect and kindness. It chooses wizards who are often loyal and good-hearted themselves, such as Mr. Cedric Diggory, and after his first wand was destroyed, Mr. Ronald Weasley. It is the core of the steadfast companion, Dragon Heartstring, the powerful heart. Next, we have the heartstring of a dragon. As a rule, these wands possess the most raw power and are capable of the most flamboyant and spectacular spells. There is a fire to them, a passion that reflects the beast from which they are sourced. Dragon wands also tend to learn more quickly than other types. They adapt to their owner's style with remarkable speed, mastering new branches of magic with an eager ferocity. While they are capable of changing their allegiance if won from their original master in a duel, they always bond strongly with their current owner. They are not unfaithful, but their loyalty is to strength. This power, however, makes them somewhat temperamental. Of the three supreme cores, Dragon Heartstring is the easiest to turn to the dark arts, though it will not incline that way of its own accord. It is a vessel of great power, and it is up to the wielder to direct that power towards good or ill. They are also the most prone of the three cores to accidents. A mishandled spell from a Dragon Heartstring wand can be particularly destructive. It is a core that chooses wizards of great intellect, ambition, and strength of will. It is little surprise that it was the core in the wand of Miss Hermione Granger, one of the cleverest witches of her age, but also in the wand of Bellatrix Lestrange, a witch of terrifying power and cruelty. It is the core of the formidable champion. Phoenix Feather, the rarest heart. Finally, we come to the rarest and in some ways the most remarkable of the three cores, the tail feather of a phoenix. This is the rarest core type for a reason. Phoenixes are exceptionally rare creatures, independent and detached, and they do not give their feathers lightly. Wands with a phoenix feather core are capable of the greatest range of magic, a versatility that is unmatched by either unicorn or dragon cores. However, they may take longer to reveal this. They are creatures of nuance and patience, and they expect the same from their owners. Phoenix feather wands also show the most initiative. At times, they will seem to act of their own accord, a quality that many witches and wizards find deeply unsettling. They are the pickiest of all wands when it comes to potential owners, for the creature from which they are taken is one of the most independent in the world. These wands are the hardest to tame and to personalize, and their allegiance is usually hard-won. They may choose a wizard of great talent, or one of great potential, but they will always choose a wizard of singular character and destiny. It is a curious thing that the two most famous phoenix feather wands I ever sold were brothers, containing feathers from the same phoenix fox. One belonged to Harry Potter, the other belonged to Lord Voldemort. It is the core of the destined soul. I must add a brief word on the myriad other cores used by my competitors. My father wrestled with kelpie hair, which is notoriously unstable. Some American makers favor the spines of the White River monster, or the hair of the Rougarou, a creature with a dark reputation. And of course, there is the infamous case of Vila hair, which produces wands so temperamental and prone to fits of pique that I refuse to work with it. These substances can produce magic, yes, but they lack the consistency, the power, and the profound character of the supreme cores. They are, in a word, substandard. The body of the wand, the Whispering Woods. If the core is the heart of the wand, then the wood is its body and its voice. Every single wand is unique, and its character depends greatly on the particular tree from which it is derived. Only a minority of all trees can produce wand-quality wood. It takes years of experience to tell which ones have the gift, though the job is made easier if one finds bowtruckles nesting in the leaves, as they never inhabit mundane trees. The wood is not a passive vessel. It has almost human powers of perception and preference. It whispers its own secrets, its own history, into the nature of the wand. Let us examine a few of the woods I favor in my work. The wood of Harry Potter's wand was holly. This is a rare wand wood, traditionally considered protective. It works most happily for those who may need help overcoming a tendency to anger and impetuosity. Holly wands often choose owners who are engaged in some dangerous and often spiritual quest. It is a wood that varies dramatically in performance depending on the wand core with which it is paired, and it is notoriously difficult to combine with a phoenix feather, as the wood's volatility can clash with the feather's detachment. It is only in the case of a very special owner that such a match can succeed, and when it does, nothing and nobody should stand in their way. Holly is a symbol of luck, prosperity, and protection from evil, a fitting guardian for a boy who faced so much of it. In stark contrast, the wand of Lord Voldemort was fashioned from yew. Yew trees are associated with death and resurrection in many cultures. Their very sap is poisonous. Yew wands are among the rarer kinds, and their ideal matches are likewise unusual and occasionally notorious. The wand of yew is reputed to endow its possessor with the power of life and death, which might be said of all wands, of course. But yew retains a particularly dark and fearsome reputation in the spheres of dueling and all curses. It never chooses a mediocre or timid owner. Those who use yew wands are more likely than most to be attracted to the dark arts, though it is untrue to say that all who use yew wands become villains. The wizard who is buried with a yew wand will find that it sprouts into a tree guarding their grave, a potent symbol for a wizard so pathologically afraid of death. Miss Granger's wand was of vine wood. The druids considered anything with a woody stem to be a tree, and vine makes wands of a special nature. They are among the less common types, and I have been intrigued to notice that their owners are nearly always those witches or wizards who seek a greater purpose, who have a vision beyond the ordinary, and who frequently astound those who think they know them best. Vine wands seem to be attracted by personalities with hidden depths, and I have found them to be more sensitive than any other when it comes to instantly detecting a prospective match. Mr. Weasley's second wand, a fine replacement for his brother's disastrous hand-me-down, was made of ash. This is an unyielding wood, but its ideal owner is not stubborn or arrogant. Those witches and wizards best suited to ash wands are not, in my experience, lightly swayed from their beliefs or purposes. They are stubborn, yes, but also courageous. The ash wand cleaves to its one true master, and ought not to be passed on or gifted from the original owner, because it will lose power and skill. This tendency is extreme if the core is of unicorn hair. This explains perfectly the tragic performance of his first wand. Draco Malfoy was chosen by a wand of hawthorn. This is a curious, contradictory wood, as full of paradoxes as the tree that bears it, with its leaves and blossoms of healing properties, and its branches that sprout deadly thorns. Hawthorn wands are complex and intriguing in their nature, just like the owners who suit them best. They may be particularly suited to healing magic, but they are also adept at curses, and I have generally observed that the hawthorn wand seems most at home with a wizard of a conflicted nature, or a witch or wizard passing through a period of turmoil. Let us consider a few others. Alder, an unyielding wood, strangely seeks an owner who is helpful, considerate, and most likable. It is best suited to non-verbal spell work, giving it a reputation for being only for the most advanced. Elder, the rarest of all, is a deeply unlucky wood. It is tricky to master and scorns any owner who is not the superior of all their fellows. Only a highly unusual person will be matched with Elder, one marked for a special destiny. Then there is Laurel, which cannot perform a dishonorable act, but can be lethal in the quest for glory, and will abandon a lazy owner. And Sycamore, a questing wand, eager for new experience, which may burst into flame if it becomes bored. Each wood has a story, a preference, a soul. From the nobility of Cypress, which chooses those destined to die a heroic death, to the integrity of Cedar, which finds its home with the perceptive and loyal. The wood is the wand's first connection to the character of its master. The measure of a wand. On length and flexibility, the physical dimensions of a wand, its length and its flexibility, are often misunderstood. Many lesser wand makers simply match the wand length to the size of the witch or wizard who will use it. This is a crude measure, and it fails to take into account many other more important considerations. While it is true that longer wands might suit taller wizards, they tend, more importantly, to be drawn to bigger personalities, and those of a more spacious and dramatic style of magic. Neater, shorter wands, by contrast, favor more elegant and refined spellcasting. Most wands will be in the range of between 9 and 14 inches. I have sold extremely short wands, 8 inches and under, and very long wands over 15 inches, but these are exceptionally rare. In the latter case, a physical peculiarity, such as in the case of Rubeus Hagrid, demanded the excessive wand length. However, abnormally short wands usually select those in whose character something is lacking, rather than because they are physically undersized. Many small witches and wizards are chosen by longer wands. It is a reflection of the spirit, not the body. The flexibility or rigidity of a wand is equally significant. This quality denotes the degree of adaptability and willingness to change possessed by the wand and owner pair. A brittle or rigid wand may indicate a master who is firm in their convictions, perhaps to the point of being unbending. A supple or swishy wand may belong to one who is adaptable, curious, and open to new ideas. There are many degrees: springy, whippy, pliable, stiff, unyielding. But I must caution you again, no single aspect of wand composition should be considered in isolation of all the others. The type of wood, the core, and the flexibility may either counterbalance or enhance the attributes of the wand's length. The owner's life experience and style of magic will also combine to make the wand what it is. A wand is a composite whole, a complex and nuanced personality. To understand it, you must look at all of its facets together. Only then can you begin to appreciate the subtle language it speaks. The unseen bond, the complexities of allegiance. We now arrive at the most subtle and frequently misunderstood area of Wandlore, the matter of allegiance. There is a vast difference between possession and mastery. Simply holding a wand, even using it to cast spells, does not make you its master. The best results will always come where there is the strongest affinity between wizard and wand, where the wand has truly chosen its owner. Using another's wand will feel intrusive, unfamiliar. The magic produced will be weaker, less precise. The wand resists. So how does a wand's allegiance, its loyalty, transfer from one wizard to another? The subtle laws that govern wand ownership state that a conquered wand will usually bend its will to its new master. A wand's loyalty can be won by defeating or disarming its previous owner. I must be very clear on this point. This does not necessitate killing. That is a brutal and vulgar misunderstanding. The act can be as simple as a well-timed disarming charm, an Expelliarmus, or even physically wresting the wand from an opponent's hand in a moment of genuine conflict. However, this is not a simple mechanical process. If it were, wands would change hands constantly during school dueling practice. They do not. The transfer of allegiance is a judgment made by the quasi-sentient wand itself. It senses a shift in magical and emotional dominance during a moment of high stakes. The wand assesses the intent, the power, the vulnerability, and the finality of the conflict. It is not the spell alone that matters, but the entire context of the confrontation. The wand must recognize a true defeat, a genuine overpowering of its master's will. This is why the wand need not even be present for its allegiance to shift. It is a magical bond, not a physical one. It can sense its master's defeat from half a world away. Not all wands, however, are equally fickle. There is a spectrum of loyalty. Some wands are profoundly faithful, An ash wand, as I have mentioned, cleaves to its one true master. A wand with a unicorn core will remain strongly attached to its first owner, and may even die of grief if separated. I have even heard tell of hazel wands that wilt at the end of their master's life, expelling all their magic in a final act of devotion. On the other end of the spectrum are wands that are more willing to change. A dragon heartstring wand, while bonding strongly to its current owner, can be won. A laurel wand will quite willingly abandon a lazy possessor. And at the furthest, most extreme end of this spectrum lies the elder wand, a wand that knows no loyalty at all, save to pure strength. Let us examine a few cases to illustrate these principles. Consider the first wand of Ronald Weasley. It was a hand-me-down from his brother Charlie, made of ash with a unicorn hair core. Two of the most loyal components known. That wand never, not for a moment, considered Ron its true master. It yearned for Charlie. This lack of allegiance, compounded by the severe physical damage it sustained, led to its catastrophic and comical failures. It is the perfect example of the folly of inherited wands. Consider also the case of Isolde Sayre, the founder of the American school, Ilvermorny. In her youth, she fled her cruel aunt, Gurmlith Gaunt, and took her aunt's wand with her. The wand was ancient and powerful, having once belonged to Salazar Slytherin himself. It served Isolde faithfully for years, but it was a stolen wand, not a conquered one. Its allegiance had never been truly won. When Gurmla finally tracked Isolde down, she spoke a command in parcel tongue, and the wand immediately obeyed its ancestral master, falling dormant in Isolde's hand. A stolen wand can never be fully trusted. Now, contrast this with Harry Potter's use of Draco Malfoy's Hawthorn wand. At Malfoy Manor, during a desperate struggle, Harry physically overpowered Draco and took his wand. In that moment of genuine conflict and dominance, the wand's allegiance switched. It became Harry's, and it served him faithfully, far more effectively than the Blackthorn wand he had been given but had not won. This was a true conquest, and the wand recognized it. These are the subtle laws of which I speak. They are not written in any book, but they are known to the wands themselves. A study in contrast. Other makers, other methods. While I am confident that my methods produce the finest wands in the world, I am not so arrogant as to claim I am the only wand maker of note. The world is wide, and magic takes many forms. It is instructive to look at the work of others to understand the different philosophies that guide our ancient craft. In Europe, my chief rival for many years was Mikhail Gregorovich. He was a fine craftsman. There is no denying it. The Bulgarian Quidditch champion Viktor Krum, for instance, swore by his wands, and I can attest that Mr. Krum's was a formidable instrument of hornbeam and dragon heartstring. Gregorovich's reputation was considerable. However, his understanding of the deeper mysteries of Wandlore was, I believe, flawed. He came into possession of the Elder Wand, and instead of studying it in secret, he boasted of it. attempting to use its fame to replicate its properties and enhance his business. This was a grave and ultimately fatal error. It was an act of a merchant, not a true student of Wandlore. It drew the attention of a young, ambitious Gellert Grindelwald, who stole the wand, and later of Lord Voldemort, who murdered him for his knowledge. Across the Atlantic in North America, the traditions are different again, wilder, drawing on magical creatures unknown in Europe. There was Shikoba Wolf of Choctaw descent, who favored intricately carved wands with the tail feathers of the Thunderbird for a core powerful but difficult to master. Johannes Jonker, a Muggle-born whose father was a cabinet maker, became famous for his wands with wampus cat hair cores, often identifiable by a distinctive mother-of-pearl inlay. Tiago Quintana crafted sleek, long wands with a single spine from the back of the White River monsters of Arkansas, producing spells of great force and elegance. And then there was Violetta Beauvais of New Orleans, who used the wood of the swamp mayhaw, and, for her core, the hair of the rougarou, a monstrous dog-headed creature. Her wands were often accused of having a natural affinity for the dark arts, though the president of the Magical Congress herself carried one. It is also crucial to remember that the wand itself is a largely European invention. In other parts of the world, particularly in Africa, there are ancient and powerful traditions of wandless magic. Witches and wizards there learn from a young age to channel magic through their hands and gestures alone. This does not make their magic lesser. In some ways, it is more pure. The wand is not a necessity for magic. It is a tool, a focus, an amplifier. It has allowed European magic to develop a particular precision and complexity, but we must not be so provincial as to believe it is the only way. The ultimate wand, a cautionary tale of the Death Stick. We come now to the culmination of our lecture. All that we have discussed, wood, core, length, flexibility, and the profound laws of allegiance, finds its ultimate and most terrible expression in a single, notorious artifact. An object of immense power and endless fascination, which has left a bloody trail splattered across the pages of wizarding history. I speak, of course, of the Elder Wand. It has been known by many names, each reflecting a facet of its dark character. The Wand of Destiny, the Death Stick. Its very composition is a study in extremes. The wood is elder, a rare and deeply tricky material that, as I have noted, chooses only those marked for a special destiny. It is a wood that scorns to remain with any owner who is not the master of their brethren. Its core is more unusual still. It is the tail hair of a thestral. This is not a substance I use. Thestrals are powerful, magical creatures with a deep and intrinsic connection to death. It is said that the thestral hair core is a tricky substance that can only be mastered by a witch or wizard capable of facing death. Not one who seeks to conquer it, not one who fears it, but one who can face it. Herein lies the great secret of the Elder Wand, and the reason for its blood-soaked history. It represents a perversion of the true nature of wand allegiance. A proper wand forms a partnership, a bond of mutual learning and respect. The Elder Wand knows no such bond. It is dispassionate and ruthless. It knows no loyalty except to strength. It does not choose a partner, it serves a master, and it will abandon that master the moment a stronger wizard appears. It does not encourage loyalty, it invites betrayal. It is a mercenary, not a soulmate. Its history is a litany of murder and conquest. From its fabled creation by death for Antioch Peverell, who was murdered in his sleep for it, the wand passed through the hands of Emmerich the Evil, who was slain by Egbert the Egregious. It was held by Godelot, who was starved to death in a cellar by his own son, Hereward. It was wielded by the fearsome warlock Barnabas Deverell, who was killed by Loxias, who in turn was killed by an unknown assailant. And so it went, down through the centuries, a trail of bodies leading eventually to Gregorovitch, then Grindelwald, then Dumbledore, and then through a series of events of profound consequence to Harry Potter. Lord Voldemort, in his quest for this wand, made a fatal error, born of his fundamental misunderstanding of magic. He believed the vulgar stories. He thought that, to master the wand, he had to kill its previous owner. He murdered Severus Snape, believing him to be the wand's master after he had killed Dumbledore. But he was wrong. The wand's master was not Snape. Dumbledore's defeat had come moments before his death at the hands of Draco Malfoy, who had disarmed him. The wand's allegiance, unseen by all, had passed to young Malfoy, and when Harry Potter later defeated Malfoy, it passed again to him. Voldemort held the wand, but it never truly served him. It could not. For he, who feared death above all things, could never master a wand whose very core demanded an acceptance of death. The Elder Wand is the ultimate cautionary tale. It teaches us that the pursuit of absolute power is a misunderstanding of what makes magic truly strong. The true strength lies not in domination, but in connection. The unending study, and so our evening's discussion draws to a close. We have journeyed through the heartwood and the heartstring, through the subtle laws of loyalty and the bloody history of power. But do not believe for a moment that you now know all there is to know. Wandlore is a complex and mysterious branch of magic. It is a lifelong pursuit. Even I, who have dedicated my entire existence to its study, am still learning. I still encounter new combinations of wood and core that surprise me, and I still marvel at the uncanny wisdom a wand displays when it chooses its wizard. The true power of a wand, you see, is not in its length or its flexibility, its wood or its core. These are but the elements of its character. Its true, ineffable power lies in the unique, unbreakable bond it forms with the witch or wizard it chooses. It is more than a tool. It is a companion. It is a partner in the great dance of magic. It is, for some, the closest thing to a soulmate they will ever know in this world. So, as you drift into your dreams tonight, think on this. Think on the quiet, patient magic that flows through the living world, through the branch of a holly tree or the heart of a dragon, waiting for the right hand, the right heart, the right soul to claim it and give it voice. Thank you for sharing this time with me. May your own magic be true,